Imagine this. It's a cold winter night and you're sitting in your living room. Outside, the temperature is 20 degrees below zero. All the lights suddenly go out. The humming of your furnace ceases. In complete quiet, your phone's screen is the only glow. You then realize that this is more than just your home. It's the whole continent. It's also not turning back on. An EMP strike has just occurred. We're looking at a terrifying scenario, a continental-scale power infrastructure meltdown in the depth of winter. That is more likely than most people think. This is more than just a hassle for people in the far north. The battle for survival would start as soon as the lights went out. Most people wouldn't realize how serious the situation was in the first several hours. They would wrap themselves in blankets, light some candles, and bide their time until the electricity came back on. However, reality would quickly set in as temperatures inside contemporary homes plummet, falling by almost 1 degree every hour in really cold weather. Here's what makes this scenario so terrifying. Our modern infrastructure has created a population completely dependent on the grid. It's possible 99% of people don't even know what an EMP is, and most don't have a simple book of matches. This isn't an exaggeration. It's our reality. Within 24 hours, indoor temperatures in well-insulated homes would drop below freezing. Pipes would begin to burst. Water stored in containers, your emergency supply, would freeze solid, becoming useless. The irony is cruel. You're surrounded by water in the form of snow and ice, but without heat to melt it, you can't drink it safely. Now let's talk about what happens at the community level, because this is where things spiral quickly. Hospitals, which house our most vulnerable, would become death traps. Backup generators might buy a few hours, maybe a day if they're lucky. But when the fuel runs out, and it will, patients on life support, newborns in incubators, and the elderly in care facilities would be the first casualties. Medical staff would face impossible decisions in buildings that are rapidly becoming freezers. Emergency services would cease to exist. Police stations, fire departments, ambulances, all dead in the water. That 911 call you're thinking about making, there's no one to answer it, and even if there were, they have no way to reach you. Roads buried under snow would remain impassable. Snowplows require fuel, operators, and coordination, none of which exist without power. The social contract we take for granted would dissolve. Without the ability to call for help, communities would fragment. Some would band together, others would turn desperate. But here's where we see a critical divide in survival odds, and it all comes down to a simple question. Do you have a wood-burning stove? Those with wood stoves and a stockpile of firewood would suddenly find themselves in possession of the most valuable resource in the frozen north, sustainable heat. A properly maintained wood stove can heat a home indefinitely, as long as you have fuel. It can melt snow for water. It can cook food. It becomes the literal center of survival. These households could maintain livable temperatures, prevent pipes from freezing, and create a refuge not just for themselves, but potentially for neighbors and family members. They'd face enormous challenges. Absolutely. Gathering firewood in brutal conditions, rationing supplies, defending their resources, but they'd have a fighting chance. The vast majority, though, those in modern homes with electric heat, gas furnaces dependent on electric ignition, or even natural gas heating that requires electric pumps, they'd be in immediate danger. Exposure and hypothermia would claim lives within days, not weeks. The elderly, children, and those with medical conditions would be first. But in sustained sub-zero temperatures, even healthy adults can't survive long without heat. Frostbite and exposure, these aren't abstract threats. Frostbite can occur in minutes at 20 below, especially with wind chill. Hypothermia sets in when your core body temperature drops just a few degrees. Huddling together under blankets might buy you time, but in a truly unheated space in Arctic conditions, you're only delaying the inevitable. Now, you might be thinking, This is just fear-mongering. This could never happen. But could it? Our power grid is actually more fragile than most people realize. A coordinated cyber attack, a massive solar storm like the Carrington event of 1859, or, yeah, even an EMP weapon. These aren't just science fiction. They're real scenarios that government agencies and security experts are actively planning for. The way the world is going right now, with increasing geopolitical tensions, aging infrastructure, and the growing sophistication of cyber warfare, the possibility of a large-scale grid failure isn't as remote as we'd like to believe. I mean, we've already seen regional blackouts from simple storms that leave millions without power for weeks. If you scale that up to a continental level, the consequences become almost unthinkable. So this catastrophic scenario is really specific to regions with brutal winters. If the same blackout happened in temperate zones, people would still face serious challenges, like food spoilage, water access, and even social breakdown, but the immediate threat to life would be way less severe. Geography, in a situation like this, would literally determine who lives and who dies. So what's the takeaway here? I'm not saying you need to panic or go full doomsday prepper, but maybe, just maybe, it's worth having some basics on hand matches or a lighter, a few candles, a manual can opener, some stored water, warm blankets, and honestly, if you're up in the far north, you should seriously consider alternative heating sources. Because the truth is, we're all just one catastrophic event away from learning just how dependent we've become on that electricity humming quietly in the background of our lives. Stay warm out there. And, maybe keep those matches handy.